Kia koto. You can all hear us?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. Great. So it's just been fantastic hearing Heta and Jean talk about the work at Auckland and at Massey. It's been it certainly resonates with where we are now. So some of you will have heard before about our Kia Angitu Student Success Program. Oh, shall I drive? No, that's okay. Our Kia Angitu Student Success Program. And we're gonna give just really some high level about where we're at in the journey. And some of it I hope really resonates with some of the things we've heard already. Because it's interesting, we're all having you'll see in our middle circle around our high impact courses. So that's an important part as well, which is very similar to what Massey and Auckland shared. But also we're going to just share a little bit about how we're using our analytics for course engagement, which we have talked about before and was designed mostly just to see if there was engagement, how we're using that to really impact teaching and learning. And finally, we'll just finish with just a little brief overview about our Te Kakoa Maui program, which was for 150 scholars from lower decile schools in the South Island. So, and what we're doing with that. So I'm going to turn over to my colleague Ellie to talk about ACE.
So kia ora, everybody. Amazing to be here with you today talking a little bit about ACE. Some of you may have heard this before, so please bear with me. But as a bit of an overview, ACE is our analytics for course engagement program here at UC. So we started this in 2020, just before COVID changed our lives, but it is primarily made up of 3 parts. It's a 3-part program that has student-facing resources as well as teacher resources, and the large part is focused around our proactive re-engagement program. Oh, we've gone backwards, apologies. So if we just focus at the first part on our student-facing resources, this is what students see. So every student has a personalised engagement dashboard, which helps them to understand their engagement compared to the engagement of their peers within that course. So as you can see on the screenshot here, we have a student's average engagement with a course compared to a banded average engagement. So that is just a really quick measure to help students understand, am I putting enough time and effort into this course at the moment? So we've recently reorganized our dashboards and spent a significant time upgrading them. So the feedback that we got from students was that these dashboards are great, but what do I do when my engagement is low? So in this example, you can see between the 20th and 23rd of Feb, this student may have been sick or not been engaging in the course as the rest of their cohort was, but we've now provided a few different things to help students engage a bit or know what to do when their engagement has dropped. So that top 5 activities has been really crucial. So that's a very quick way to say, okay, well, I need to focus on my lab, my lecture, this assignment that's coming up, which is another block you can see on the right-hand side. And then providing an average time spent in the course over the last week as well helps, again, give that sort of gut feeling. Now, I'll point out that this only captures online engagement. So any sort of offline work and attendance in classes obviously aren't captured, but it does help students to quickly understand how to manage and monitor their time online. And when we look at the sort of impact of our workflow, so our active re-engagement program, what we can see is that I'll take a step back. We have a workflow which has different sort of stages based on the level of need for students when they're picked up as disengaged. So the first is a very gentle automated outreach to help students or encourage students to get back online. So because text in an email, and the reason that we do that is because for reasonable reasons like illness or focusing on another assessment or course, students might not be engaging with a particular course all the time, and that's okay. But it's just a little reminder to say, hey, we noticed you haven't been involved in stats this week. Maybe you should spend a little bit of time on there. And as we can see,
nudge, nudge.
Yeah, nudge, get back on track. And as we can see in this graph, that nudge is what's needed for about 60% of our cases. So it's just that nice little reminder, and then they go, oh, yep, okay. I'll get back on and I'll do my stats and I'll do my quiz because that's due tomorrow. But then we have a workflow for our sort of cases where a little bit more sort of human intervention is required. So for tier 1, tier 2, those are academic advising, either within our kaitoko first year advising team or in our faculties, which really helps to sort of pass out things like, am I in the right course? I'm not sure I'm in the right degree, all of that academic advice around there. And the impact of this we've done, I'll just sort of touch on very briefly. When we send that text nudge, because we're taking care of that 60% of cases with that automated system, when we see a 33% increased engagement level with Moodle for those who get that message, as well as a 35% increase in time. So this shows that students aren't just sort of clicking through Learn to get this thing off my back and stop messaging me, but are actually spending more time engaging with their courses. And the fascinating thing about that is that it's not just for the course that they were nudged for, but it's over all courses and is sustained over about a 2-week period. We also see engagement with the dashboard, which shows that students are really leveraging the technology to direct their learning in a way that helps them to succeed. And I'll touch on this very briefly because I don't want to run over time, but what we do see with the dashboard as well too, and this is purely correlational and more work is needed to do some assessment in this area, but there is markedly different engagement patterns for the use of that dashboard based on students' outcomes. So last semester we saw A grade students using that dashboard more and spending more time on that dashboard per day.
I think we'll skip through
that one
and move into our work on the impact courses. So that's still around the courses, but of course, ACE does have does also have a teacher-facing dashboard. So the lecturers themselves can also see where the students are engaging and which students are engaging and what assignments they're engaging in, because the structure and design of the course, as Jean's pointed out in her presentation, is really critical for building that engagement, the way we assess, the way we deliver, and sometimes we give too much information to students, and sometimes we assess maybe in ways that actually create a barrier. So this year for us at UC was the year of the classroom, also focusing this year on the first year courses. Heta, though, I loved that you were looking toward movement to postgrad as well. So next year we're looking beyond first year. So just quickly to say there's 2 areas for building momentum in our high impact courses: the learner support, course development, and then we evaluate and make changes. So peer-assisted learning sessions, our PALS it's different from PASS, which is peer assistant study support. In this one with the peer-assisted learners, those peer-assisted learner leaders are completely embedded in the course. So they retake the course, they're paid to retake the course, they go to the tutorials, and in fact, in some of our courses like Accounting 102, which I'll talk about briefly, they actually co-lead tutorials and PALS sessions with the tutors. So very much embedded. And you can see in 2022, we offered a small number of PALS courses, and 23, now 90%, nearly 90% of our first year students have access to PALS in their courses. We do know that from our 2022, and I've just hot off the press last night, got the 2023 semester 1, that the students who go to PALS do significantly better and significantly better against their matched cohorts. So it doesn't matter what their NCEA entrance, they're matched on NCEA entrance score, on whether they live in halls or don't live on halls, decile, first and whānau, Māori, Pacific, disabled, and so on. So we see that they do significantly better across all. But PALS again is focused on the student, but we also make sure that we focus on what's actually happening in the design of the classroom. We have a program called Taipapaki, led by our academic developers who work completely integrated with us. And we make sure that the course learning outcomes and the assessment actually align, which sounds very basic, but it's not always as true as people think it is. And we actually also work on the overall structure of the course, including the assessment, when the assessment happens, and the actually even the visual design of the course can make an impact for those students. And the assessments range from timing of assessments to nature of assessment, to even having people start to think about, as Jean talked about, the programmatic. So think about your course relative to a whole program and a degree, not that they need to know everything there is in the world to know about coastal studies, for instance, in first year. So it's thinking around a program. And Psych 105 has been a success story, and we have the 2023 data that's still helping. That was our first one, and you can see we've had increased pass rates overall, but in particular, our PALS pass rates, which is the burgundy in the middle, those students do significantly better across the board, even compared to their matched cohorts. And we're also looking at withdrawal. Are the students staying in the class? And we are finding it, despite science overall, I'm sharing a little bit about our Faculty of Science 100 level, that their withdrawals are not where we want, around 8%, 9%. We can see that course actually has fewer students withdrawing, and it is a key course across a number of degrees. And the students like it better. That's our student evaluation of teaching along the side. We did also do a measure, which I don't have here, of the gap. So everybody's doing better, but our Māori and Pacific students are doing more better. So the gap is starting to close, and now we're starting to use that as a measure. And I'm going to skip through that because we're going quickly, and let Ellie just take 2 minutes to tell us about the Te Kakua Maui program.
Great, thanks, Catherine.
Which brings, oh, sorry, I'll just say it brings it all together. It brings together the PALS and some other things around.
Yeah. So our Te Kakua Maui program was 150 scholarships for our 150th anniversary, but you might notice there we had 165 scholars instead. We got a little excited, but they're from low socioeconomic backgrounds, decile 1 to 7 schools. So we have a program delivered around sort of a home base, which is the idea of sort of almost like a homeroom or a tutor group at school. Has about 10 to 12 people led by a student leader, underpinned by our university values, but have a sort of variety of things surrounding that home base, such as success coaching, careers coaching, PALS, as well as alumni mentoring, just to really have a sort of well-rounded, holistic program for those scholars. Don't know how I managed doing that. So we have paid and voluntary staff. So we have a success coach whose primary role is to support these scholars in their journey through UC, as well as you could see a bunch of home-based volunteers and a program coordinator as well.
Which is our staff who just really want to be part of this program. And so it's what, 10 students, 10 to 15 students, yeah, per 10 to 12 per home base person, and they have that person year round. We supply coffee vouchers and things so they can go have a cup of coffee with their home base person, but also they can meet then in a small group to support each other, which is part of the deal. We're trying to build independence beyond us as staff.
And the point of that home-based lead is not to provide all of the answers for the students, but to actually just be that person that they can say, hey, actually, I'm worried about my psych exam, or I don't know where to go because I'm struggling with my essay writing. And so that person is just somebody who can point them in the right direction. So
Some of them in action.
Yeah, some of them in action. We've done some group training as well too, which has been absolutely fantastic. And I think there's one more as well.
One more slide, and that's our success coach.
That's our success coach Angus. And so his coaching style is a strengths-based approach, which is focusing on building belonging, independence, mastery, and generosity. And I think, there we go, we'll leave the final word to one of our students who is saying that the scholarship is helping and they're making a beneficial impact to my life by making the most out of each session. So I am forever grateful for the opportunity. So,
and I'll just add one more thing about that, because we also have, starting this semester, we have paired them with alumni. So our Pacific, Māori, and other alumni mentors for these students, so they can start to make connections about where they want to go.